Hey everybody, so as promised, we are back with part 2 of our information about selling kitchen utensils and gadgets and tools, all the things that you might find in your kitchen drawer or in the drawer of an estate sale or in the baggy wall at a thrift store or in a big tub of a mess at the thrift stores. Yard sales are also a great place to find gently used kitchen utensils that can sell for a profit on eBay or Etsy or your platform of choice. So I'm going to go ahead and link the first video in that down below, like comments or description. I'll put the link there. If you want to go see that one first, we mostly talked about brands in general and some general ideas of what types of kitchen utensils to keep an eye out for. But today we're going to talk money, right? We're going to put our money where our mouth was. And we are going to look a little bit more at comps. So we're going to start by looking at comps on some of those brands that we talked about yesterday, and then comps for some specific items to look for as well. But first of all, what I wanted to do is yesterday after I filmed that first part, I had to run out to go to the post office and the grocery store. And so, of course, guess where I went? I went to a couple thrift stores as well. So I dug around in the utensils and I only found 3. Okay, I'm gonna full disclosure, I found 4, but I was not careful enough to check. I had gotten a wood-handled potato masher, not a super high profit, just kind of rustic. It could go into maybe a rustic kitchen tool lot or something like that. But I flipped it over when I got home. So dumb. Rookie mistake. And there was, so say it was like this, but it was wood. And one of these little rivet kind of covers was missing. Whatever. So that was a silly mistake. And anyway, I found 3 other utensils that were actually kind of interesting. So one of them was this big old melamine skimmer or strainer kind of thing. It does have a few dents and dings, but the brand is Cutco. So that's one we talked about yesterday when we talked about melamine. And it's not maybe as old. Yikes, my utensils are coming to get me. It's made in Taiwan. It's a little bit vintage, but maybe not that vintage. So the only comps right now are for this as a set, you know, with like 3 other utensils that sold for like $30 or something like that. So it will probably just go in my melamine, either in the lot or the variation listings that I talked about yesterday. So that was one. I got that one at Goodwill and I paid about 99 cents. Maybe a little bit less. I think it was less. It was less. It was like 75 cents because they were bundled. And one other spatula we're going to keep, and then one other I didn't. Yeah, so let's go back to, it was about $1 because I redonated the 3rd utensil. That wasn't worth anything. So I got those for $1 each. Then I also got, this is kind of interesting. It's white, and a lot of times white isn't so great, but as you can tell, it's some kind of jar, bottle opener, multi-tool type thing. What's thrown me off is that right here it says Fuller, and so I was assuming Fuller Brush Company. I can't find anything related to the Fuller Brush Company to go with this. And then the other clue on this side is it says Design : Slaney, S-L-A-N-Y. Now, if I try to put all those together, there's no results that come up. If I just try to look up Design Slaney and bottle opener, there's one different one that comes up. And doing quick research a few minutes ago, Slaney, he was a designer, and he's German, and he did a lot of postmodern. There's like a tea kettle, plastic tea kettle, so lots of plastic goods, and he had a lot to do with industrial design in plastics. So that's kind of cool and interesting. This little end has a little spike, and there's a description, like a little picture description right here of how you can pop this in the can and like turn it certain ways, and it actually bends the edge of the can. to make a spout. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I can't find a comp to save my life on that. And whether it's connected to Fuller Brush Company, I don't know. Maybe a kind of giveaway for people who bought stuff. I don't know. So I'm going to see if it cleans up, and then I will probably just focus on the design slaney aspect of it. And, you know, if I get 10 bucks, I think it was like 50 cents. So we'll see. Just very interesting, right? And then it was a day for finding things I've never found before or seen before. So at first glance, it just looks like a regular kind of metal pie server or whatever. And then I could see a mark on the back. And on the back, it says I could make out Italy. And then I'll have to type up, I'll put up the word right here. The brand, I think it's like EFFEPS, EFFEPS or something like that. And it's stainless. Inox is kind of like that stainless, Italian stainless. You see it on pieces made in Germany and Switzerland as well. But what's really interesting is it's on the back. You can see the back of the handle is plastic. So what it does is this little piece slides forward. So it just pushes whatever you're serving. It just pushes it right off the blade. So isn't that cool? So you would just scoop something up and then you could just push it off onto somebody's plate. So I thought that was interesting. There is a comp for about $10 on eBay. And then there is an active listing. Someone's asking $24. This will go on Etsy. And so I will probably ask closer to $20 on Etsy and see what happens. I just think that's really cool. So anyway, just wanted to share those with you real quick. So let's go ahead and switch over to my computer view. And we are going to start by talking about the selling prices of some of the brands, more specifically, some of the brands that we talked about yesterday. Okay, hang on a second. Just giving a little lead-in time for my voice to start recording. So let's start off right away. We talked about Cutco yesterday, and Cutco, where's my camera? Sorry, I forgot where I was looking. Anyway, Cutco, as we know, we talked about yesterday, big name, and as we scroll down, so what I did is I went to eBay. We're just comping on eBay. Etsy, you know, a lot of times I can get better prices on Etsy, but this is kind of our starting point. I always comp on eBay just to kind of get a feel for how popular something is. Anyway, more about that another day. But what I did is I went ahead and did, for a lot of these, I did a search, and then I scrolled down and I picked used, because there is a lot of new items and utensils that kind of cluttered up the results. And then I went to, if you go further down, I went down here to sold items. And then I switched this over here, sorting, I switched it to price plus shipping, high to low. Okay, so we're going to start off with some crazy prices on some things, but we'll try to sift out some good information. So obviously, Cutco, this is like an entire set with knives and utensils. You see the prices on some of these huge complete sets. Even a knife block that's complete. And let me say something about knives. Okay, I do realize that knives fit in the kitchen drawer, but I really feel like that's a huge topic on its own. And so let me know if you want a knife, kitchen knife. I don't know anything about any other kind of knives. But if you would like a kitchen knife video, let me know in the comments below. I debated adding a little section on knives, but I think it's just too much. Anyway, okay, so 24-piece Cutco. So we see we're in the hundreds for especially the knife block with knives and utensils. So it takes a while to kind of get down out of those big lots. And so what we're looking for is, see, this still has some knives, but it has a few utensils. So here's a set. Cutco Kitchen Utensils Tool Set has that pearlized look like we talked about yesterday. 218 got, and that was bidding for that set. So here we are, I think mostly in, there is a utensil block, like a square utensil holder. You can kind of keep your eye open for that. And Cutco. Yep, these are utensils. Some of these we'll talk about a little bit later. That one's got a holder that goes in a drawer, so that's cool. I've sold that holder before as well. The Cutco vintage, you can put your knives in, it slides right in the drawer, so that's kind of cool. Here's another kitchen utensils with a couple knives, $139. So, oh yeah, and there's the rack. We talked about the racks at the end of the last video, and one of the racks I showed in the picture in that video was a Cutco rack. So I don't know. I personally would probably split mine up. I think you can make more money selling them individually. So, like, here's, oh, that's 7. Let's see if we can get down to where somebody's doing one or less. Yeah, so people are bundling them and only getting like $50 for that. So, I mean, maybe that's, they did an auction, so maybe that's not such a great idea. Another auction, they only got $50 for that, right? So anyway, some things might depend on condition, but I think you'd have to go further down. See, 20, 40, 60, 80. I think you could get at least 15 to 20 for each of those if you sold them separately. And it's going to be like 70 or 80 instead of 50. So that's just my personal opinion. Okay, so it goes without saying, Cutco is definitely one you want to look out for. You know, most utensils, thrift stores, yard sales, whatever, we're talking like $1 or less. And let, you know, Cutco, they might know what they have and that might get priced up higher. But it kind of gives you an idea of how high you can go when you're sourcing as well. So, okay, let's go on to another one we talked about yesterday was the Flint Arrowhead. So this first one, it's Flint Arrowhead, and they went ahead and put Echo Forge that we talked about as well. They look very similar. They just made a big lot of all those. So it's basically like the container I have. I could throw that out there and get somewhere above $95 for all of it. 9 pieces. So a lot of people do tend to put it together. And then the other thing, I'm looking at Flint Arrowhead, and then I added the word utensils, but not everybody uses the word utensil in their listing. So as we look here, it might not look like a lot of results. So I'm curious if it'll change if I take the word utensils out. So I think because I have utensils, we're getting a lot of the lots, right? So if I take this out, let's see what we get. Oh, that was why. Because we get a lot of actual arrowheads. So let's add this word vanadium because that's on some of them. Okay. We get more knives that way. But then here's the spatulas, right? Remember we talked about spatulas yesterday being the way to go. Okay, we get more knives doing that. So I think if you want to deep dive a little bit more into the research, or if you find any pieces, just go ahead, put Flint Arrowhead ladle, right? Flint Arrowhead spatula, Flint Arrowhead, and search it that way. Because if we're just searching utensils, the person kind of had to use that word, or they had to have it selected in the item specifics, or, you know, added to item specifics. So that it just kind of gives you an idea. And if you want to sell the whole lot together, that's totally fine too. As you can see, you can get a fairly good price for, you know, putting the utensils together. So a similar thing happened over here. Let's see, Echo Forge. So I went ahead and took the word utensils off, but fortunately there's no real arrowheads involved. And here we see those pink handled ones that I was talking about, right? Like the one I showed you yesterday. And another spatula, those short spatulas. Oh my goodness. Look at these angled ones. This short angled one. I think I've sold this one time. And something like this. That one's angled. This one looks straight. Oh, that one says angled. Maybe it's just the picture. Or maybe they meant the handle. Okay, $75 free shipping. See these short little spatulas? That is the way to go, right? And I counted up I didn't count actually, but I was looking at my spatula sales on Etsy, and I've sold at least like 20. All different sizes and stuff. I have this one. I wasn't sure. Sorry, the computer camera is opposite my phone camera, so I always have to figure this out. Okay, this is just plastic handled, like nylon, and it does have some melt marks and some burn marks in it. So that's why I was like, well, maybe I'll just keep this one and use it. Maybe I'll clean up that harvest wheat one that I showed you yesterday. Maybe I'll just try really hard to clean that one up better and sell that and keep this. But I don't think they're not major, right? And so this one's an Echo USA chromium plated, and someone will still want this. I just might not be able to get top price for it, so I might go ahead and list that. And then I've got this one to list too. See, it's got like a cornflower, and it's a spatula, so I think that one will do pretty well. It looks like I paid $6 at a little antique vintage store. Alrighty, so Echo Forge. A lot of people just kind of lot them up. There's nice blue turquoise handled pieces. You know, a couple together for 30. Some knives. Yeah, so I think we're getting the kind of those same results where people, you know, we're seeing mostly the lotted ones. But see, here's a long handled spatula for $33 free shipping. Okay, so that's Echo Forge. That kind of just gives you an idea of those. Now, if we look at Foley nylon, okay, so we talked about white utensils, maybe plastic white plastic being kind of tricky, but this one was new, so that got bid up to $54. And then a whole set, someone just did a whole set of the same color, brown, or maybe that's the way they found it, orange, kind of putting all those colors together. See, I'm almost there. I've got 3 orange Foley pieces, and I've got wrong one. I've got a spatula. Yeah, I'm not going to get used to this. Okay, I've got a spatula. So, anyway, I could list those 3 together on Etsy right now and just see what happens. I might. Avocado green. People love those retro kitchen colors. More avocado green. Another new one, just a blue, $44. Another white one. And that's just kind of a mix, right? Blue and a white one. So as you can see, people are buying these older plastic utensils, right? That one's similar. Alrighty. And spatulas. I can't say it enough, but people love vintage spatulas. Okay, let's go on to another one we talked about yesterday was Ultra Temp. I did show you, I think, the comp of the ones I sold, but here's a set of 8 for somewhere between 80 and 80. I don't know. Okay, so then there's the amber ones, and then here's, I don't think I mentioned this yesterday, the cranberry. So remember we said that the Ultra Temp was made to complement the Visionware. And so there's like amber, the brown glass Visionware cookware, and they had a cranberry kind of color too in the Visionware. And so they made that color to go with it too. And then we have some more amber. Here's some of the green, it looks like. Here's some black Ultra Temp. So yeah, you don't just look for these brown colors, just kind of look at all of them if you see it written Ultra Temp on the handle. And like we said, you know, this might be one. The last set I had, I did lot up. And so that one's kind of cool. It's got some tongs, so that's different. But there we go. You know, I think these are totally worth it, especially if you're only gonna, you know, pay $1 or less per utensil. Okay. Now going over to some of the melamine, we'll just look at Rosti, right? So we see it has a little utensil container, and I have actually a very similar one. This one's by Cutco, and it's brown. Maybe you can see I still have some stickers I have to get off, but it says Cutco. And so I did debate doing like what, see, all that was a matching color, but like this person did, it looks like they have all the brands that we talked about yesterday. They have Meepal, which went with Rosti, right? Melamine, Detker. Detker was another one. It's made in Germany. Hutzler. All right. So they had a few different utensils plus a container kind of like mine, and they got 60, right? So I almost debated doing that, just kind of taking a selection that would kind of complement the brown and just making a whole set. So I'm still debating that. I'm not sure. I might just do it all separately. I think shipping this and then some utensils, totally different shapes, might be kind of annoying for my husband. But anyway, we'll see. I'll do some more research on such things. So I didn't put utensils again in the title because it was kind of messing up, because not a lot of people use the word. So there are some Rosti melamine mixing bowls that you can keep an eye out for too. I love melamine. It works really good, right? Egg cups. Okay, we're getting sidetracked. But anyway, you get the idea. I actually do a lot better. See, a lot of these sales are from overseas. Australia. So I actually do a lot. I've always done all these on Etsy. There is a really good market for this kind of mid-century, that kind of, I don't even think they were made in the mid-century, but a lot of people throw that word on there. But that kind of look, the Scandinavian style cookware. Etsy can be good for some things. All right, so now let's just talk about items themselves. So I was like kind of curious about this. Say we take a subject, we take can openers, right? I had to put manual, otherwise I was getting a lot of the countertop ones. Now, if we first look right away, Edlund, it looks like a good name. A lot of these things, the higher prices are going to be kind of commercial type tools. So I couldn't see maybe just the average homeowner having one of these manual can openers. It looks like it attaches. You need some kind of base. There's a base. And I think it's for really big cans, that restaurants would use, right? So here's some smaller ones. Now this one is a solid aluminum Everware can opener. So there are some vintage smaller ones that have that kind of wheel or handle that you kind of do like that, right? Edlund, obviously, if you came across an Edlund commercial can opener, it would probably be worth picking up. Okay, we are getting some tabletop ones anyway, or under the counter. Okay, Pampered Chef. So this is another name that comes up fairly often in the high-priced things. So we've got these Pampered Chef can openers are retired. So someone sold 2 for $60. Edlund, Black & Decker. Okay. Let's go ahead. Okay, this is a wall mount can opener by Rival. It's called Canomat. This came up quite a bit when I was researching it too. But what I want to do, here's an antique one. So antique kitchen tools, I believe are kind of hit or miss. I think if they're kind of rare or unusual, then you will get collectors involved. A lot of the utensils we've been talking about are utensils that people want to use. But when you get into the antique, the 1800s, early 1900s, people are, I think, more collectors than anything. Here's another Pampered Chef Smooth Edge can opener, $45. I could totally see this in someone's drawer at a yard sale, or, you know, on a table at a yard sale, or an estate sale drawer or something like that. Right? You just never know. Cutco has can opener. Another Pampered Chef for $41. Okay, another Pampered Chef. So, okay. A little grouping of those little bottle opener things. Pampered Chef. Edlund. Okay, so we see a lot of the names repeating themselves. So I wanted to show you one other one that I feel, okay, let's see. It's called a Swing Away. Okay, look at this. New old stock, vintage Swing Away, white-handled, handheld can opener. Okay, there's a couple new old stock ones. These are wall models. But I wanted to get you a better picture of... Wow, there's so many new old stock ones. I wonder if somebody had a... Here we go. Okay, so look at this one. $28. I swear I have a green one around here somewhere. I was telling my husband, we have had one of these. Like it's in our camping equipment or something. Okay, but they say Swing Away on them. They kind of have this like rubber grip on the handle. And they just actually do pretty well. Right? $28.99. So if I ever find my green can opener, I have a feeling it's going to get listed. My husband doesn't remember it. So anyway, Pampered Chef, Swing Away, Edlund obviously is going to be more commercial. Antique, you know, handheld can openers. You just never know. Okay, let's take a look at something else. We've got garlic presses. Okay, you might find a garlic press. Cutco, top of our list again. Cutco, like some new ones. Now this is interesting. This is Xylus, and then the model I think is called Susie garlic press. Okay, somewhere around $80 for a new old stock one. $70 for a new old stock. We have actually sold this one. We've sold one. I'll pop up a picture somewhere around here. Ours was used and a little bit more worn. And so we got about, I think, $35 for ours. But they're out there. Okay, some of these, here we go. Yeah, that's what it looks like out of the package. So remember what I was talking yesterday about the very modernist looking utensils to take a second look at. So Xylus, they're made in Switzerland, and it just has such a cool look to it, and they are super popular. There's Cutco, another Cutco. You know what, I don't think I did used. We should do used because I think that's what I looked at originally. Okay, Xylus, see, that was kind of the level I was at with mine. And Cutco, Tupperware. I don't think the price was that great. Another Xylus. This one, ROSLE, stainless garlic press. Keep an eye out for that. Rosal, maybe. And then Kuhn Recon. So many words you never have to say out loud, and then you start to say them online in front of all these people, and you're like, wow, I don't really know how to say that. Okay, so that one, it's called the Epicurean. Okay, so a lot of these I think are just, they become like cooks' favorites or people who work in restaurants have something that they really like to use. So definitely that Xylus one is something to keep an eye out for. Okay. They're just all over the place, right at that $30 mark. And then the Kuhn Raycon as well. Alrighty, moving on. Spatulas. Okay. Spatulas are, as we've already seen, crazy nuts. So I just did spatula. And you can also use the word like flipper or turner or things like that. Because spatula, you know, I know it also is like the scraping tool, but anyway, obviously a lot of people use spatula. See, a lot of people put all the words in it. Spatula, turner, flipper, right? So here's that Rubbermaid one. Here's those Echo Forge. Here's a lot of the mixed lots of them while we're up at these high prices. Here's a huge pizza flipper. More Echo Flint. Someone's got a big lot of, oh, that's Le Creuset. Okay, here is vintage Rubbermaid, white nylon, wide spatula plastic, rare, 1972. It's got flaws, so it probably has melt marks, and it's still sold for $63. Okay, so I hope I've convinced you that spatulas are something to keep an eye out for. We've talked about it a bunch of times. Okay, Cutco. Let's see. Yep, a lot of people on, I noticed that a lot of people on Etsy or eBay do, here's another Cutco one. They do a lot of lotting things up. So this is interesting. Set of 4, Ensar Corporation. So not a well-known brand, but look at the color. It's pink. And that's like 80s pink. It's not like mid-century pink. So nice $50 little flipper. Okay, that's awesome. So KitchenAid. Here we go. Calphalon, that's another thing to mention, is some of the higher end kitchenware, like pots and pans makers, a lot of times have utensils as well that can sell pretty well. Oneida, nice little lot of Oneida. That's not too bad. Okay, and then All Clad, that's another one. So All Clad, Calphalon, things like that. And then I think I just separated out the Rubbermaid spatula because this is a new one for me. So I wanted to take a quicker look at it. And a lot of them are white. There's a black one. There's a bunch of white ones. Another black one. Yeah, so I'm looking for some Rubbermaid nylons. Ooh, some red. That's cool. Alrighty. Moving on. And then another type of spatula that might be in the kitchen drawer, but maybe someplace else in the house, is cast iron. So I never really thought about this before, but there's cast iron spatulas. So Griswold is a good name. Lodge, let's see, there's a bunch of Griswolds for a while. Wagnerware. Okay, so any of the big names in cast iron skillets, you're gonna want to keep a lookout for the spatulas as well. This is Martin Stove and Range cast iron skillet. Oh, custom made into a spatula. Is that what these are? Oh my goodness. No. Wow. I could see it. If something's wrong with, let me see. I didn't even think of that. People were making beat up pan skillets into a spatula. Maybe, no, I don't think that would be lined up that perfectly. Not right on the edge like that. Okay, so some of these are made, I think some of them are not. So fascinating. Okay, let's talk about ice cream. These are ice cream scoops. Vintage brass and wood one got bid up to $400. So To me, it's looking like antique ones are ones to keep an eye out for. A lot of them are marked right on them, so that's actually good because they're easier to research. Okay, more antique ones. Now look at these. If you ever see one that's square shaped, definitely pick that up. So it's for making ice cream sandwiches. Someone sold a big, a lot of antique ones. Put those together. More ice cream sandwich scoops. Some cone-shaped ones. Okay, so definitely very interesting. Wood handle. So yeah, keep an eye out for wood-handled ones. A rocket-shaped one. That's cool. And let's see, there was one other one. Oh, that's cool. 1890s. It looks like you squeeze it and pop out the ice cream. Hamilton Beach. Okay, I don't know why this is rare, but it's a Hamilton Beach ice cream scoop or spade or paddle. Very heavy duty. Sold for $55. So I don't know. You could just get a bunch and lot them up. But there was one. Let's see where we'll come across it, if I haven't missed it already. Yeah, I must have missed it. So let me just look it up real quick. Ice cream scoop, Baskin Robbins. Okay, here it is. Baskin Robbins Build It Engineering Push Button Logo Metal Ice Cream Scoop. $50. And so I actually do have one of those right here. I have it listed on Etsy at the moment. You can see it says Baskin Robbins. And it is made by that same Build It Engineering. So my condition, I don't know, is not as great as that. And you see they don't all go for that high. Right? So I think mine's priced at about 25 to 30 or something on Etsy. So why that one went for 50, I don't know, but you do kind of have to look at averages, but at least I knew not to give it away for $10. Okay, potato mashers. I don't spend a whole lot of time. They don't sell terribly well for me. I was just kind of curious. We've got some Cutco. We've got some primitive wooden ones that seem to do okay. I tend to, if I'm going to lot up some utensils, the potato masher definitely gets lotted up. Now this would be an exception, Merry Mushroom. We talked about that yesterday. That motif is really, really popular. So anything that can go along with Merry Mushroom, would do great. There's another one. And then I saw one. Yeah, this one's cast iron. And that one seemed to do pretty well. And then here's one by Eco Eterna, which is actually, it's a really nice flatware brand to sell. And I've actually sold this potato masher too, but I sold it in a lot. I had this and a couple other pieces that all went together, so I sold them all together for about $55. There's the corn flour, kind of like the one I just showed you, I think. There's another one of the Eco Eternas. There's that name again, ROSLE, $40 free shipping. That might be a name to keep in mind. A Flint Arrowhead one, $27.99. Another cast iron, more Cutco, Echo. It has a teal handle. So all those things we've talked about before come into play. All right, next one over. Measuring spoons. I just thought this was fun. I was trying to think of some of the things that were in my drawer, my kitchen drawer upstairs. And so I took a look at measuring spoons. Now, a lot of these are including measuring cups, right? Crosby and Taylor, I've never heard of it. Pewter, it's spoons and cups. All Clad, we just talked about that. Some Blue Willow, it has a rack for hanging. Queasy Pro, I don't really know that, but it's the whole set. Now these are interesting. Joe Spoon, 1987, brass and copper. Crosby and Taylor, pewter again. Another Joe Spoon, 85. These are Foley, and they have a nice little hanging rack. That's kind of cool. Anthropologie. Enamel hanging ones. That would be awesome. That's very French country. Some more hanging ones. Anthropologie. Revereware. This is interesting. Looks just like kind of plastic handles. Rubber kind of handles. $60. They say they're rare. Pier 1. Volrath, but just very modernist kind of looking. All clad. And then we get into the Tupperware, right? But it has the hanging rack for stuff, which is really cool. And all clad, Revereware. Williams Sonoma, again, some of those names. Williams Sonoma. So the high prices definitely are going to be some of these when they have the cups and the spoons together, right? These are something to keep an eye out for too. This should have been in my list yesterday, but Weight Watchers has these measuring scoops. And so one scoop holds like a cup and one scoop holds like a half a cup. It's for scooping out your food for portion control. And they come in all different colors, and they've always sold for me. And you can, they kind of an unusual look. So sometimes you can spot them pretty quickly. Now this is just OXO Good Grips, but it's like a whole set. It's an older style, it says. So, and then here, like the full set of Tupperware in a certain color, right? $45. KitchenAid. Nice little green set. Okay, I've also sold Gans measuring spoons. They're very whimsical looking. And Temptations, there's all these, it's this rooster. The tails back here are measuring spoons. Some more Tupperware. So I hope that kind of helps you open up your eyes to some of those things. There's one more subject that I want to talk about, and that's Bakelite. So you can't really talk about vintage utensils or utensils in general without talking about Bakelite. Handles, right? So I feel like there was a real, surge of popularity for Bakelite handles, a few years back. And I think they're still collectors. I just don't think it's as high and as exciting as maybe it was like 5-10 years ago or so. But, as with everything, I oversourced. So, I guess you could say I kind of had a collection. Okay, so I ended up keeping most of my plastic and Bakelite handled stuff in here. Okay, so this is mostly flatware. It's a lot of just butterscotch, kind of boring ones. Every once in a while, there's a red-handled flatware piece. There's a lot of brown and yellow. So the ones that sell the best are going to be, and we're talking flatware, I'm deviating a little bit here, but the ones that sell the best are going to be super colorful or have two colors kind of laminated together and everything. So I was thinking I would probably at some point just try to make up a set, like a service for 4 or something like that, just using what I've got here. But that's a whole project, which is probably why it's still sitting here. But I do have some utensils, and one of the types of utensils that I've done pretty well selling is the cake breakers. Okay, so this is what they look like. Sorry, maybe I can put it in front of me because I'm black. So it's got these, it's got these spikes here. They're like for cutting an angel food cake without tearing the whole thing. But they're very common to have Bakelite handles in all sorts of colors. And again, I might have gone a little crazy, but I got a bunch of them. Ha 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 ha. So anyway, I did come across like a bunch of these were all at one place. They were at an antique mall. And the thing you do have to be careful of is that, like, this one's pretty good. It's got a nice, pretty green handle. But you got to check these rust. You know, a lot of times there's wear on the little spikes. So that one's not that bad. But there's, like, this one that is, like, super rusty up here. So I just love, like, this has a really cool shaped handle. Those usually sell pretty well, and they have an unusual shaped handle. This, I don't know what I would do with. Steel wool. If it's not too bad, sometimes you can steel wool it and see what happens. I know you could probably sell the handles, like for people who will make jewelry or something out of them. But I don't know if I could, well, my husband might be able to get them off, or you could just take your damaged ones and lot them up and just sell them kind of as is and let whoever's making them figure out how to do it. But anyway, I just love the colors. It was kind of like I was just collecting them, right? They're like candy. My goodness. Okay, so I've sold these. If they have an unusual handle, the red ones do pretty well. That one's in pretty good shape. Just needs a quick spruce. That one's got one of those cool red handles. So yeah, I think I would, what did I sell them for? Like $18 or so. I think if, you know, it's kind of bread and butter. But fun stuff. Okay, so then I've got a few others. There's this one. And that's got a really unusual handle. It's got a little bump thing at the end. And this, I believe, is like for slicing cheese. So it came with this little printout. And it says basically you can do whatever you want. You can slice packaged cheese for making toasted cheese sandwiches, soft cheeses, or eggs, or butter, or ice cream, things like that. Okay, so it probably came with a cake breaker, as you can see up here. But that one, you know, needs a little touch up as well. I've just got a big spoon. And that one's got a little chip out of it, so that might affect the price a little bit. Here's another one with like a marbled brown handle. This is a honkin' big meat saw. Same kind of brownish handle. So some of my just brown ones I might lot up. I'm not sure. Here's a cool thing. So you pick up the piece of, it's kind of like my pie server, right? You pick up the piece of the slice of meat, and then you can slide it right off onto somebody's plate. So I think I saw one of these and sold actually for a pretty good price. Maybe with a better color, but let's see about that. Now check this out. I've got a cheese slicer like I told you yesterday, the Spar ones. And it's got a Bakelite handle. That's so cool. I don't know why I haven't listed that yet. I'm such a nut. Okay, more spoons. This one's kind of cool. Look at this shape. Look at the shape of it. It's like you spoon it and then it'll pour out. It's kind of egg-shaped. It's hard to find the spot to show you. And it's got a pretty hefty handle. It does have, somewhere it had a maker's mark that I can't read because I'm blind, but I'll look it up. Anyway, this is kind of cool. These are electroplated nickel silver. Okay, it's a little bit wonky, and so I'm going to see if my husband can tighten those. But it's just basically like two little serving things, but it gives it tension because it's got the Bakelite in between. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then just, you know, a few types of carving forks and things. That's a pretty red. So yeah, I would just like pick these up, you know, wherever I saw them and just throw them in my little bin. Like I said, the prices maybe weren't as crazy good as when I was first looking at them, but some of those unusual pieces are definitely worth listing. So let's just look at Bakelite handled. It's the last thing we'll look at. I wanted to show you, you know, a lot of people do big lots, right? I could see, look what I could do. I could dump out my little bin of the boring colors and see what people want to pay for it. Bar tools. A lot of times there's bar tools involved with Bakelite handles. Now, speaking of spatulas, I want you to keep in mind this one. The company is Androck. It's very much a vintage utensil company. And they have, okay, so they have this bullet handle, which is a red Bakelite. Now this one is green. But the important part is the stainless steel was known for being like very thin and very flexible. So I'm going to pop up a picture. I actually sold one as well. And it didn't have a Bakelite handle. It had just a thin wire handle. But the important part was that really flexible, and it must have said it on there that it was super flexible. So that's definitely one to keep an eye out for. There's some more thin, flexible, bullet handle. Those might have been the same one. Here's a yellow one, butterscotch, right? So again, spatulas win the day. Here's a nice little lot with vintage. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, that's kind of cool. That's potato masher, and it's got like a Bakelite handle. So that's what I'm saying. Those kind of unusual pieces. And the bullet handles, I think, are still pretty popular. See, 50s Androck serving utensils. People like those bullet-shaped handles. Okay, just wanted to throw that out there. Hopefully you'll be seeing some more utensils in my what sold videos as I get more of them listed, along with all the other things I need to list, like my flatware and such. Okay, I'm going to switch back to my camera and just close out the video. Okay, so I hope that was valuable information for you. I learned quite a few different things about utensils. I think maybe there's some I've been overlooking, and that I really should take a closer look at them. Let's see. I wanted to thank you all for watching. I do have one little bonus thing. So when you're looking in the drawers, a lot of times there's things in the drawers to organize, right? So this is an experiment I'm going to be running. I have sold a flatware tray, a plastic flatware tray. I have sold one of these before that was turquoise, and it was vintage and it was turquoise. I'll put up a picture of it right here. And that actually had sold for $24. So I think it's kind of one of these things that's kind of overlooked at thrift stores. So let's keep this between you and me. But I started to kind of look again. Rubbermaid is always really popular with buyers. Okay, it's really well made. But what I'm doing is I'm not buying white ones and I'm not buying new ones. I'm looking for ones that have vintage colors. Okay, so these are very 80s, 90s to me, like a pink mauve color and the teal green. There is a little bit, sometimes condition is pretty messed up. You can feel like this one's actually really nice, but I've passed up a few. You can feel where the fork's kind of scratched or whatever. So I'm going to shoot, if you look at eBay comps, they're only about like at $15 or so. So for these, and sometimes there's skinnier ones and wider ones, so that'll vary. But I'm going to shoot for 18 to 20, I think, on those. And then I found this really cool one. It's a pale yellow, and it's by Blisscraft of Hollywood, made in the USA. And I just love those scalloped edges. So like I said, I'm sticking with vintage. I'm sticking with vintage colors. A lot of times people want the ones to match their kitchen, even though it's just hidden in a drawer. So anyway, I will report back on that and see how my little experiment goes with that. But anyway, yes, I'd like to thank you all for watching. Thank you for making it this far with me. I just wanted to know, do you like videos like this? Do you like, you know, I like doing these kinds of videos because it's not only sharing the experience I've had selling certain things, but as I'm researching it, I am learning more and more. So whether you guys add your comments about things that you've sold or things like that. So if I continue to, well, I'm planning on continuing to make videos like this. Are there any subjects that you'd like to know more about? Within reason, I'll try to accommodate that. I know I've promised the sewing pattern one, and that definitely will still be coming. It will actually probably be several videos because it's a big subject. But yeah, drop me a comment. What are some other subjects maybe you'd like to know a little bit more about? And anyway, go ahead and hit the subscribe button if you want to see some more videos like this. And again, thank you for watching. I'm going to go ahead and link a video on one side or the other to my flatware videos, or at least one of them, to get you started and to see what kinds of flatware is great to sell on eBay. So thanks again, everybody, and we'll talk to you soon.